Okay, let's see if I can be heard now. Welcome everybody to this 144K mass meditation. And congratulations for being present, stepping up, and again, let me see, and really putting, to use the old expression, putting your money where your mouth is. Really saying, yes, I'm not just complaining about things. I'm doing my part. Now, this full moon is going to be an interesting one because what Neptune retrograde, which in my opinion is a blessing, and Pluto can provide for us is nothing short of a breakthrough transformation. A true breakthrough transformation when you know how to use those two beings, right? Celestial bodies, planets are beings. And we're probably the only starseed group that's actually going to be deliberately and consciously working with them. Enlisting them into the planetary liberation efforts. I don't know of anyone doing that. And we're going to use the classic power of the now to really just go a lot more than just deeper, but higher, sort of all the way, so to speak, within the absolute. That is hard to really articulate, put into words. It's one of those kinds of things that you just have to do and experience to really get it. Now, go ahead. So, I mean, we already do incredibly, just our standard process of going above the multiverse and multiverses, and carefully, methodically pulling in, bringing in, invoking all these levels of light, and then working from omnipresence. That's the standard protocols. That alone is crazy enough, immense, intense enough in all the most profound ways. But again, we're going to take it one new, powerful, unique step further. More like a leap, if not a quantum leap. Neptune is going to help us show what's real and what's not. What we assumed this whole time, our standard spiritual paradigm and level of consciousness, and reveal the truth. And in a positive sense, be ready for that. And then Pluto with us to bulldozer, because it's the biggest bulldozer of the whole planet, by the way, when it has to be. It can methodically deconstruct, transform, and reconstruct if you work with it. Otherwise, it's gonna bulldoze. So by knowing how to work, recognizing opportunity, we're gonna begin a massive dismantling cascading process over the next 2 weeks by what we do here now, because full moon and the waning full moon, as it disappears and gets to the new moon, is the, letting go, finishing, closing period. Okay, new moon to full moon is creating, starting, building, culminating. And then from full moon to new moon, it's, letting go, shedding, completing, closure, that kind of thing. All right. Most of you who know even just the basics of astrology know that. And get ready in a totally detached way for a little interesting adventure. Okay. And if there's ever a time to let go of any, I don't know, effort, so to speak, in working with energy, now's that time, because we're going to go far beyond even what I know, even what the most advanced energy worker, psychic types among you know. Because freedom and breakthroughs always lie just beyond the boundary of the known. Not a new principle, I know. But this is the prepping, the briefing to get your mind, get you in the right frame of mind. So go ahead and get yourself in the now, which consists of complete detachment, alpha brainwave state is enough. Complete non-trying, complete letting go in the mental sense, in the attachment or detachment sense. And non-trying. And like I'm going to, teach in a coming 5 Archways of Shadow Work 2.0 webinar, don't think, don't analyze, don't think, do. That unlocks the psychic flow, first of all. It sort of forces you to detach, and it doesn't give the rational mind to get in the way. It can't get in the way because you're there doing already before it gets a chance to try to get it right, or try, period. Don't think. That takes letting go. That takes detachment. And doing, not thinking. Sounds overly simplistic. That's how you have an easy time seeing and sensing. So let's all begin to take those slow, deep breaths through your nose, slowly and deeply. And Hold on the out breath for a couple of seconds. Apparently that helps absorb more oxygen into your cells. Not on the in breath. And let's just do that for a couple of minutes and just start getting yourself into the now. Forget about absolutely everything and get yourself into the now, which is essentially kind of like a blank mind in a way. And the thing about the now isn't just the now, a relaxed, centered state. The now literally is kind of like a portal, a consciousness portal into wherever you want to go. It's a portal outside of this matrix. An access point outside this matrix to whatever realm, plane, or dimension you want. Alrighty. Let's take another minute or two so I can get myself into the now. See yourself in the gigantic, translucent crystal ball. Just on the inside of the equator, look all around. See the golden light bodies or astral bodies of every fellow 144K comrade and brother and sister. If you don't feel or felt you have beloved ones, you do now. So it all looks like a dotted golden ring. And always remember, the image that you intend to see is already there. As you set the intent, you just have to look with your higher mind's eye instantaneously without an ounce of trying. It's instantaneous. If you're new, you don't have to see things clearly. Faint images are typically the most accurate. So all good. You can't get this wrong. Let go. For the love of Gaia, humanity, and all that you stand for, let go. Trust. Let's call in Gaia in our own way. Authentic Gaia. We call upon the one true, authentic goddess, Gaia. Please be here with us right here, right now. See Gaia in the middle. Authentic Gaia, can we please have your permission to take you up with us to extreme levels of power and authority, to managers, overseers of multiverses. See the beautiful white polar ice caps of Gaia, the blue oceans, and the clouds over the blue oceans. We're really going to raise the timelines to something completely different here, folks. Now, call in your guides for those of you who consciously have any or work with any. I call upon the celestial being known as Pluto. Can we please have your permission to take you up with us to beyond the multiverses, to serve your divine purpose? See Pluto next to Gaia. You can see it a bit smaller size as because Gaia is the main focus. We call upon the authentic celestial divine being referred to as Neptune. We ask for your permission to take you up with us to beyond the multiverses. And see Neptune. It's got a dark and light blue kind of atmosphere, almost like rings, layered rings of dark and blue. That's on the right or wherever you want to place it. But focusing only on Gaia is fine. Broaden your vision so you notice the dotted golden ring. That is all the other 144K members. And we start to move up through the layers of this universe. And the reason why we got through so many damn layers just within one universe is because we're not just moving up through planes and dimensions and densities and respective subplanes of the aforementioned. I only realized recently that we're actually moving up through simulations, through matrices, false ones. We're rising up through them as well. Partly because we're also anchored in the now. And this is why we're still alive. This is why we're, according to the Q board, we're ahead of schedule, believe it or not, with minimal casualties. And rest assured, casualty numbers globally is extremely minimal, all things considered. Like you wouldn't believe. Won't feel like it because we haven't experienced worse, but we're doing quite well. As we're racing up, through the layers, and you could say false simulations is a better word for it than matrix. Rising above all of it to free ourselves of it through the now as well. And this is a key part of why your standard 20-minute mass meditations that other groups do only stabilize things and haven't really provided that huge breakthrough. Though it still helps, don't get me wrong, it's helped the light forces. So if you're new, there's a powerful, very empowering energy or psychic skills you're learning. As we're about to break through, take your last glance at your guides, the next few 144K members to your left and right. And of course, Gaia in the middle. And as we reach, or about to reach, that last thick outer boundary of this universe, everything goes bright white. As we reach and push through that last thick outer boundary of this universe, you can barely see Gaia in the middle. And we're through. You see a big ball, it all goes dark again, dark silver. And you see a big ball of light. That is the universe that we just left. Rapidly turn into a small ball of light. And then we stop. The universe that we just left is now the size of a soccer ball. You can still make it out. Pull it up, see it come up, but remain small. See it come through the crystal ball, and it gets more clearer as it's now on the inside of the crystal ball. And park it just underneath Gaia. Okay. And we continue going up now. And we rise up above the usual ocean of universes within this portion of this multiverse. And all that turns into a more hazy sort of ball of light. And we rise above a whole bunch of a whole ocean of multiverses that all look like small balls of light, albeit a little hazy since we're seeing it through the crystal ball. We rise above that. And all that dwarfs, pardon me, and disappears. Take a glance at your guides and everywhere else as we continue to rise. Not just above the multiverses, but we're rising above the omniverse. I'll explain that one later. While I run through the standard protocols as we continue to rise to little known, incredible amounts of light, power, and authority. Hold that relaxed glance on Gaia. That's enough. Authentic Hod, authentic Hod. We call upon the one true authentic light beings, the Hod, the authentic Hod, outside all false illusions, simulations, outside of it all, of the authentic, organic, source-derived Hod. Please make sure we go to you and no one else true Hod. Take that last glance at Gaia, the universe, 144K members, the dotted golden ring. And you look up and you see a single point of white light. slowly getting bigger and bigger. This is way outside of everything. And it begins to light up the whole roof of the crystal ball. And we finally reach it. We come to a sudden yet somehow gentle stop, and we slowly move through this platform of light. Very special realm, ultimately designed to corral all levels of the dark back to the light, resolve the whole shebang. There's just quite a decompression process we're talking about here, so allow that. That's why we take our time. And forget about linear time to be in the now. As we rise above, closes at the bottom, opens up at the top. Well done. And we nestle on top, and the platform of light, disappears once we're on top of it. You don't have to visualize it or anything like that. We form a straight line behind and a little above Gaia. The universe, and if you can see it on the sides, Neptune and Pluto. It's okay if you can't or don't. We form a straight line of solidarity, unity, but also we act as that magnifying glass, because light is everywhere, but that magnifying glass is needed to focus all that light into a laser beam. Otherwise, planetary liberation will take forever. It's already taken long enough, but casualties had to be minimized. That's just the way it is. Because the wall peels evenly. Not so fast as it goes down, to allow for decompression, especially if you're new. And now, allow yourself to get even deeper into the now, to completely, pretty much, escape this matrix and all its illusions. And I'm going to use the word simulations here, because the matrix was a lot more sophisticated than we had anticipated. That's what's recently risen to the surface, thanks to all of us light forces consistently peeling the layers of the onion. And here we are. Remember, engage the right hemisphere of your brain through complete non-trying and giving yourself the chance to even notice what your intent has already provided for you in terms of vision. And connect with and feel, establish your own connection, and feel this unique energy signature of these beyond the multiversal light beings. Working directly. And I mean directly, no in-betweens, no soul over soul, I am, and whoever else. They work directly with and for source. Authentic God, can you please send us a massive wave of your energy so we can truly feel you to an undeniable, unmistakable physical level. And now, kind of meditate. It's a form of meditation, I suppose. Look, see, hear, feel, connect, assimilate, acclimate. Just being with them clears your field. Remember to breathe deeply and slowly through your nose. And have a little bit of background attention on the center of your head, thalamus area, at first. If you're new, you simply may be seeing them as light beings, very translucent light beings. They hardly have much form. Authentic God, send us a massive wave of your energy into our hearts. Engage the heart center. And have a little background attention on your chest, your heart area, or solar plexus. Feel their energy in the heart center. It'll be just a small sort of snippet of a feeling. That's plenty. Sometimes it comes as a soft little pulse. Alrighty. Shift your attention to Gaia or your guides while I quickly call in the rest of the teams. I call upon the infinite army of the authentic amalgam of the Oberon lineage, their sixth dimensional auric technicians, and Oberon being the creator beings that created this universe and their unique physicality. As a way of figuring out how to corral darkness back to the light. They're in a large fleet of white discs beneath us. I call upon the elders of the amalgam. I call upon Oberon, the team of beings that created this universe. That presents itself as one golden being, a male golden being. All right. Repeat after me. I call upon all of my higher density aspects See him or her. Next to Oberon, perhaps. Repeat after me. I call upon the entirety of my soul see it as almost like a distant star just up above the Hod. Repeat after me. I call upon my authentic oversoul. See it as a bigger ball of light just behind your soul, different color of your choice to differentiate. And lastly, repeat after me. I call upon my authentic I am. And see it as a slightly bigger ball of light with very long rays of light. And your I am can sort of concentrate itself into one spot, even though it's omnipresent by nature. Authentic Legion of Light, here is the 144K. Ready to be that magnifying glass to focus your light and clear whatever's holding us captive. There is Neptune, there is Pluto, the universe. Take us to the space of omnipresence. Now, please. Briefly look up at your I am, and everything goes bright white as we are taken to omnipresence, but this time above the whole omniverse, above all that is, above the absolute. We're only limited by what our consciousness can conceive of. It's very bright, above the omniverse, everything. You can barely see Gaia in the middle, if at all. And it all disappears, and we're there. Okay, now all together, we're going to do something in a minute. Just keep on looking at the teams, at least a couple of them, while you're hearing my words. And by doing so, you're sort of relaying what I verbalize and command in alignment with the soul purpose, but at its fullest potential. So it sort of adds your purpose. Okay, so just, listen and look at the same time. Authentic Legion of Light. There is Gaia. It is the full moon, July the 10th, 2025. we have seemingly reached the point of a grand opportunity where the long-running issue of the subquantum anomaly, dark energy, dark essence, dark consciousness can be dissolved, but fully dissolved at the physical surface level of this planet. This planet that is the focal point, seemingly, of all that is, that affects and is also a nexus planet that affects all that is and changes all that is. That's why it's been so hard. We're even more than just the jewel of this galaxy and universe. What happens on this planet affects the whole universe because it's the focal point, the nexus planet. And what happens this universe, specifically created by Oberon, affects the multiverse. Multiverse is an omniverse. It affects everything. That's why it's been such a hard-fought battle. And so many layers of control and illusions have been layered upon us. No stone left unturned, and there's a reason for that. But there is Neptune. There is Pluto. There is a universe beneath Gaia. We ask you, and we ask you, Neptune, being, and for those of you who are very savvy about astrology, here's your chance to really distinguish yourself, because your soul is asking you to, here and now. Really use Neptune. All of you, all of us, all that we have been called in and are with. Use the power and talents, natural codes within Neptune to scan all of Gaia through our consciousness that's focused on you. To clear, find, discover, remove gracefully all remaining blocks, illusions, hindrances still holding us captive, and to set that cascade of complete collapse in a controlled, graceful manner over the next 2 weeks. Everything which still holds us captive, beginning with everything that is illusion, deception, and not real, that we were not aware of before. Go way beyond our own level of consciousness. Way beyond. Okay, I'm seeing a labyrinth, and the walls of the labyrinth just being broken up into rocks. And something coming up in the middle of it. Well, in the middle of what was the labyrinth, like a light beam. Again, it's all instantaneous because remember, your true identity, who you really are, never mind the right hemisphere of your brain, doesn't work in a linear way. So kind of allow for that or accommodate for that within your mental consciousness level paradigm. Okay, something got put into a quarantine sphere, something dark came out from underneath the labyrinth. It's in a quarantine sphere. It's basically, at this point, it was like a material stone or concrete kind of disc, pretty much, at that point, after the walls were locked, all the labyrinth walls were knocked down. Again, abstract always seems to work just as well. That's the way the right hemisphere brain works. There is no limitations. And have your heart, feel in your heart, just for the next hour. Forget everything. Just for the next hour, feel in your heart the sense, that relaxed, but at the same time intense, deliberate intent for removal of all remaining things that keep us captive. Beginning with Starseeds. For that galactic contact. Right, now glance up at your soul, oversoul, and I am the Almighty. I am, which, rest assured, feels like God, to put it mildly. Allow yourself to go into that deep meditative state, but be the witness. Allow it to flow. Don't think. But be willing and open to see something new. That's the trick. And sometimes or often that image will be faint. That's actually a good thing. Professional remote viewers would tell you most images are faint. The accurate ones anyway. All right. So that whole, thing that opened up in the middle of that disk or where the labyrinth was, and something dark came up, got quarantined, teams went to action, light went through. It's led to what are probably other universes. So kind of like wormholes, over a dozen of them through the bottom of the middle of this disc where the labyrinth was on. You went to all these wormholes branched out underneath. Going to these universes. Let's see what happens. Universes being transmuted. And don't worry, be the witness for now. Your unique, preordained soul purpose, tasks, and talents will engage shortly if it hasn't already. Because a lot of what we're going to focus on is actually, again, magic-like, seemingly organic, magic-like technologies for the most part. That's run by whatever consciousness was inserted or overlaid onto it. That's what is in AIs. Okay, I'll keep on getting the word simulations. Bear with me, okay? Continue to witness in an untrying way. If you do see anything dark, make sure you turn it, that your soul is telling you to transmute. Make sure you transmute it by turning it white, holding for a couple of seconds, and then disappearing it. That's a simple process of transmutation. That's what you're here to do. Let go, the less you try, the more comes to you. As if you don't care, completely detached. Treated like a walk in the park. The climax to this whole thing is coming shortly. All right. For a couple of minutes or so, and by the way, don't bother, because it's actually quite limiting. Don't bother showing any 3D surface concerns that you hear in the alt media or anything like that. That really is a snippet of a symptom or end result, and kind of limiting. All of that is a result of or manifestation of, and I'm going to use the word simulation because I've recently been getting that the so-called matrix or some sort of insane technology produces simulations, is a better word for it, not so much matrix, but simulations. And there's a lot more than just one simulation. There's actually potentially hundreds, if not thousands, of simulations that coexist together, sort of layered. It's a layering of simulations. So that's actually the underlying reason why things don't seem to change. Where you do energy work, you feel better, then the next day it's sort of the same old. So I think in terms of layered simulations, because if you break through one, some sort of a unknown technology or system layers or kind of broadcasts another layer of simulation on top if you start breaking through them. Again, I might be wrong here, but that's what I'm getting. So I think in those terms, to adjust your consciousness level to be able to see. Because the mind can't see what it can't conceive or doesn't know about, for example. Again, we're always limited by our current level of consciousness, which is ultimately the only real issue. So by me helping you raise it, we get our breakthroughs. And this is what you're here for. This is why you're here and now on this planet since forever. Tens of thousands of years. Again, raise your level of thinking, your level of consciousness to something far beyond. So transmute if you do see something. Otherwise, meditate on this splendor of light beings. Just give me a couple of minutes. Keep on being the witness. Bear with me. Be in the now. So that there is no waiting. Okay. Something's going on with Neptune, which I wasn't quite expecting. Bear with me. Okay, some clearing was needed of Neptune because Neptune was kind of being used through magic-like technology, being used in the wrong way, against us. Because the nature and attributes of a given planet it can be, what's the word I'm looking for here? Computerized or synthesized, for lack of a better term, through magic-like technology and then used against us. So bear with me. Hold, stand for the light. And therefore, you do not let the last tens of thousands of years of being on this planet go to waste. If your soul is telling you or guiding you to help out with Neptune, go for it. There was a portal in the middle of it, wormholes, 4 of them at least, to some very dark places. All right. Some of you may have been drawn. Again, look up at your soul, either soul and I am. We've called them in for a reason. And then ask them, literally, guide me, show me what to do, verbally if you have to, and then let go. Do, don't, think. And a way to circumvent or skip the insanely limited and conditional rational mind is to look at Pluto, for example, and do something that is, quote unquote, from your wildest imagination. Remember, everything has been flipped. The truth and reality has been completely reversed and flipped and then conditioned into our rational minds. So we hack that. We hack that. We hack into our conditioned consciousness or analytical mind by doing, quote unquote, things that come out from our wildest imagination, unquote. Meaning bullshit. It's all real. Have at it. See Pluto holographically in a quarantine sphere of your color of your choosing. Again, always play around with background colors. Follow your soul's guidance. And when you're not sure what you're doing or don't know what you're doing from the rational mind's perspective, that's probably right, because it's going beyond the limitations of your current level of consciousness. No need to be put into hypnosis or anything like that. This is just for 5 minutes. Again, the first most immediate instantaneous images that you barely catch with your rational mind are usually, and they're faint, they're usually the accurate ones. Just transmute. Transmute back to the divine. I'm just dealing with a cube in the core of Neptune, you clear. Weave your magic. Take that occasional glance at your soul over soul and I am, and preferably the HOD in the background. They're all in the background. I'm just getting busy with clearing now a portal within the cube, within the core of Neptune. Won't be long. This is important preliminary steps. So these are primarily magic-like technologies, seemingly organic magic-like technologies we're really dealing with here that have been around for even billions of years. Again, think big, way past your normal level of thinking. Believe me, it's worth it. Source come through. All right. There's a kind of source golden light language now coming through the core of Neptune. Now, some of you have not been feeling or compelled to do anything in particular. Be the witness. If what I'm verbalizing is all that you're having to go on, that's still fine. Because your move per your unique soul purpose and preordained soul task for this intervention is coming. So continue to be the witness. Put 60% of relaxed focus of at least 2 or 3 of the light beings or teams in the background. And that really exercises your psychic muscles too, by the way. Strongly recommended. Have at it. Respect who you really are. Respect yourself. That's that. Okay. So what we're doing is doing the... Okay. So think of all the planets in the solar system as a team. Like a small crew on a naval ship. And each crew has their special training, talents, and purpose. We're liberating and we're bringing back to its divine state Neptune to employ, actually utilize its divine talents and purpose. Neptune is not just another planet. It is a being, a celestial being with profound abilities that are preordained by source to be utilized and unraveled now. Transmute that there. Just a couple of more layers of stuff. To remove off of Neptune. Again, if you see with that very most initial instantaneous glance at some holographic image of Neptune through the simplest of intent, if you see something dark grey, forget about what it is. And it may be amorphous or like a cloud, a spherical, faint cloud. Doesn't matter. Transmute the damn thing so we can liberate Neptune, basically, so that Neptune can help liberate us. And then the entire omniverse after that. Again, for those of you not familiar with astrology, Neptune is its heart, its essence, its nature, its strengths, talents, and purpose is all about the greater realities, illusions, deceptions when it's in retrograde, but otherwise about the quote unquote dream states, which is just another form of greater realities, right? Because we know there's no such thing as dreams. They're just either other realms or consciousness constructs in the non-physical. Okay, I think Neptune is ready. Okay, for those of you familiar and, often work directly with Source, call in Source and ask it to restore Neptune and reprogram Neptune to its divine blueprint. Let's do it all together. Repeat after me. And you can see Source as a magenta cloud way up above. That'll do. Or through a bright portal. Whatever. Authentic Source, we call upon you, and it is commanded that Neptune be restored to its divine blueprint and purpose at all physical and non-physical level. Okay, I believe I saw, because it was faint, a beam of golden light come down into Neptune. Neptune going gold temporarily. Just hold space for that by continuing to witness it. I'm just going to be silent for a minute. Again, take that relaxed, expanded, occasional view of at least two or three of the teams in the background as you witness this spectacle. I'm just going to be on mute for a couple of minutes. We're setting things up beautifully. The climax is coming. Okay, unless I'm mistaken here, there seems to be, how can I put it? To each and every one of us over the past minute or so, false layers of ourselves. Again, think in terms of holographic simulations, but a lot of them being pulled out of each of us in 4 directions. So it's kind of like copies. In other words, false overlaid copies of ourselves being pulled out a lot rapidly in all 4 directions, through the back, sort of moving forward and pulled out through the front and the sides. And so if any of you, because some of you sensitives may have felt this, and not feeling it is as simple as not having a conscious mind reference point for such a thing. But anyway, some of you sensitives may have felt something, whether it's a lightning or some kind of a shift, whatever that your senses will interpret it as. I don't know, past couple of minutes or so, or thereabouts. If you did notice that, feeling that within yourself or aura, do let me know in the Telegram chat, preferably. Just a short yes or no, half answer, half sentence. And this is something that's overlaid within us, within our auric field. And remember, in terms of, like, we think in terms of memory, right? How much memory a computer can hold, which is, I don't know, 10 gigabytes, 50 gigabytes. While our natural organic biocomputers can hold a squabillion gigabytes worth of memory and information. And, you know, most of so-called physicality is empty space. So, in other words, there's plenty of room for all these multiple fake copies or simulations of ourselves to be pulled out, is what I'm trying to say. All right. And this is something that's related or even causes the whole hamster wheel nature of life. Okay, back to Neptune. See the golden beam of light from source. Going into Neptune and stopping. Okay. Authentic select. Okay, let me see here. All right. Okay, look at the height of your I am. Just for like 20 seconds, just long enough to be in the now, to help kind of ensure that by being in the now, you're automatically, like a portal, completely outside of a lot more than just the matrix, outside of all universal and omniversal simulations. It really has gone everywhere, this dark simulation thing. I know we're accustomed to thinking that the only false matrix illusion type phenomena is only at this point confined to this planet at this point. It was actually throughout the whole omniverse. Meaning not just the multiverse and multiverses, but within each universe are seemingly infinite universes, because there's apparently a universe within each atom. And I'm saying this to the teams as well to show where we're at, what we're going for here. Within each universe, within each atom, and this is just the physical, and this is disclosed by Q the Storm Rider, by the way. So the White Hats know this and probably been wrestling with it. Within each atom is a universe, and within each atom within that universe is another universe. And it's as good as infinite, the amount of universes that there are just within one universe. Then you've got the multiverses, the multiverse of a given of that universe, and then another layer being the multiverses. So multiverse, then multiverses. And within and without all of that is the omniverse, all universes, which, like I said, is as good as infinite. That's right. When I say upgrade your level of consciousness, this is what I mean. This is what your soul over soul I am and source is asking of you to try, have a go, just for the next 20, 30 minutes. This is why right hemisphere thinking is what's going to get you free. The White Hats will not get you free. The Galactic Confederation will not get you free unless we add our piece to the puzzle. That's why you're in the here and now, intervening. You are part of the Galactic Confederation, the ground crew of it. That's no longer a sleeper cell. And that is what it is. If you can't identify that because of current incarnational false persona, false identity conditioning, just humor me for the next 20 minutes or so. Believe me, you'll be thanking me later, to put it mildly. Enter your right hemisphere brain, unattached, through quote unquote imagination, the highest form of consciousness. Enter now. Look at the teams. In the background, at least the HOD and your I am, that's enough. Again, at least two of the HOD, these translucent light beings, above the omniverse. Look at them, look at your I am, over soul and soul if you can, whatever. Repeat after me. Authentic I am presence over soul and soul. Look up and see them. Authentic hard. Authentic source. Come down upon us all. From way above the omniverse, from way above all false, illusory, or dark, or false light simulations. Outside of all densities and false or dark, non-organic source, non-organic true source simulations. Throughout the absolute, throughout the omniverse and null space and unspace, throughout the entirety of all the infinite universes, within the infinite universes, and throughout all infinite universes, within and throughout the multiverses and omniverse. Outside of it all, throughout and beyond the void, throughout and beyond the edges of all that is, and everything that has ever been conceived of, by any and all levels and forms of darkness and false light. No matter how many times it's been mirrored and replicated, go to the edges of that which has been mirrored and replicated to infinity, and reverse it all. Clear the light. All non-authentic organic source, simulations, illusions, deceptions at all levels throughout the aforementioned. Authentic I am, HUD, and source of the true, organic, divine, authentic light outside and beyond all simulations, and layered deceptions at all levels. Clear it all down to the base root source level. Now, Gaia is the focal point of pretty much everything of the omniverse, of all that is, because it is the nexus planet. See Gaia holographically. Pick your background colors. Keep it simple within a quarantine sphere. Anything dark, again, faint is usually the most accurate. Anything dark, turn it white and just hold for a moment. Feel the teams, I am and high selves, work through you by letting go, be the witness. It's something that happens beyond thinking. Don't think. Catch an image and do. And I'm not going to verbalize what I see because I don't want to interfere with your unique soul purpose and talents that only you can fulfill. Feel your soul in your heart briefly, or look across to see the teams and I am in the background in a relaxed way. And in a couple of minutes, I'll start verbalizing things, but it's my responsibility not to interfere what you're here to see and do per your soul unique soul purpose. and casually notice Neptune on the right of the quarantine sphere that Gaia is in. Okay. And literally say to it, verbally or inwardly, activate your highest divine potential now. Remove everything that is holding us and all of Gaia and the entire omniverse and infinite universes captive while clearing all deceptions and simulations. Now shift your focus back onto Gaia. Remember, because we're on the physical ground here, when you project your consciousness from the physical to pretty much anywhere else, let alone non-physical, you do have literal godlike powers. That's the ultimate reasons why we're here. Keep that in mind. Now I'm going to verbalize what I saw initially within Gaia, because she's the central focus point, the nexus planet, and what happens here chain reacts throughout all that is, including the so-called infinite universes. Alrighty. Now I saw dark portals, and chances are these are technological. In a Star of David pattern, including one in the center, and then it goes off throughout all that is, it seems, from there. Now you see what you see and transmute, clear, or close, whatever the case may be, and see what happens after that. I'm going to give extra guidance shortly, because we're fast approaching the finishing climax here. All right, so I'm closing these portals. Okay. Now, for those of you not doing anything in particular, look at Gaia holographically. Pick your background colors of Gaia and the quarantine sphere. Look up and notice the teams in the background. Look up at source. At a magenta cloud or maybe a bright portal, whatever. Feel the love in your heart. Repeat after me as you're looking up at source. Authentic, true, organic, divine source. The authentic, organic, infinite love. And true creator. Re-enter and reinsert. Your essence, your consciousness, and divine three-dimensional construct. Into all infinite universes at all levels, within and throughout the void, in between all spaces and null zone or nil zone, throughout the multiverse, multiverses, omniverse, all that is, down to and beyond subquantum levels, and all voids and zero densities, throughout all that is. Now, and clear all false simulations and matrices and respective technologies and dark consciousness. Dissolve it all. See golden beam of light from up above, from direct from the true organic infinite source, infinite love, golden beam come down into Gaia, into the core of Gaia. And see an initial pulsing of outward emanating light as Gaia's system and bodies acclimate and assimilate. Be the witness. Don't think, don't try. Do it as if you don't care. Detach, play with the limitless attitude of a child. So the golden light is sort of getting brighter and brighter and pulsating outward emanation waves of light. Again, the analogy of dropping a pebble onto the still surface of a pond and coming outwards, lighting up all the grids, the vortexes, upwards towards the surface and beyond to be able to accrete it and hold it, because it's going to explode from there. Bear with me. And sort of that golden, before we expand out and then finish up, that golden kind of program, simply by inserting your consciousness and intent into that golden, thin beam of light from up above source and into Gaia, program it with everything that we said and commanded, but also with the intent of, or the program of, completely dissolving all remaining false simulations, because there's loads of simulations within a matrix. To dissolve all the false simulations down to the base root technological platforms that, again, looks like magic. Restore the divine three-dimensional constructs throughout all that is omniverse, or the aforementioned. Program that into the golden beam briefly. And just say, repeat after me, dissolve all remaining simulations throughout all that is, preferably within 24 hours. But primarily with ease and grace. So that we don't have every single negative entity jumping up, freaking out all at the one time and biting us. That's why I originally said, over the next 2 weeks, set that cascade of complete collapse and dissolution of all remaining false, dark, false light simulations, any form of deception or an illusion. Expand it out throughout past the surface of Gaia now. Now, remember the universe that we just bought with us? Because this universe is a nexus universe throughout the omniverse and infinite universes. That's why we brought it up. See the universe as either a light, white light, or as a maybe indigo toroidal sphere with that little cosmic central sun in the middle of it. Again, do not have to see it perfect. Pardon me. Now bring that golden light originating from source through the core of Gaia. Make it nice and thin if you need to. And into the top, through the top of the universe, this universe, into the cosmic central sun, authentic, true, organic, cosmic central sun. Hold. See? Now shift a little bit more focus by, if you need to move Gaia up and the universe up, teams in the background. See the golden beam of light going into this universe, carrying our consciousness program, consciousness intent, and see the cosmic central sun of this universe slightly pulsating, absorbing, accreting, and then zooming out, expanding. You may see all sorts of crisscrossing lines coming outwards through the cosmic central sun area, because that's what I saw, just, all these golden light direct from source going around like a pinball in all directions, I guess, throughout the central sun galaxies, the galaxies of the central suns of all the nearest galaxies. At the same time, you may see outwards emanating magenta, perhaps, whatever to you represents the true divine infinite love of organic, authentic source, way outside the simulations of all simulations, even if they're infinite, all simulations. Bulldozing, look at Pluto. Repeat after me while you're watching this phenomena being actualized in reality throughout the central area of this universe. Look at Pluto. On the left, perhaps. Whatever image to you represents Pluto. Repeat after me. Authentic, divine, higher self of Pluto. We call upon you, and it is commanded. You clear, bulldoze, and destroy all false and infinite number of simulations of the dark or false synthetic light at all levels. Throughout the absolute, omniverse, infinite universes, at all densities, down to the subquantum levels, all physical and non-physical planes, and in and throughout the void, to include zero densities. Proceed. Now, in whatever way works for you, see a beam of light come through Pluto into this universe, joining the party. Neptune, and you can see it visually through another beam of light from Neptune. You're going into this universe, easily finding and showing all possible, infinite, imaginable illusions and deceptions, fusing those beams of light between Pluto and Neptune, golden light from source, all of us are children of source, extension of source. We are now source. Bulldozing all simulations throughout the infinite universes, infinite timelines, the seemingly infinite number of layered simulations throughout all universes and all that is, and in the void. At 0 point, at unspace, in between space, the null zone, unspace, subquantum levels, physical and non-physical, all densities, the whole shebang. We're transforming, literally, freeing, literally. The omniverse, the infinite universe is all that is. Now move. Knocking over, and you may see it in abstract representations, brief, faint abstract representations of things, layers of walls, of 3D dimensional layers of walls. I don't know how to verbalize such phenomena being just bulldozed, cleared. Getting that image briefly from time to time. We're coming to the end. Relax, quote unquote, don't care, detach, be unattached. Wildest imagination, be the witness, as if you're under hypnosis. I don't know how else to put it. 3D language is insanely limiting. And spread is a combination of that pinballing golden laser light direct from source, programmed by our consciousness, what we're programmed with, because inserting your consciousness and intent into something is a form of programming. That's how AIs are programmed, literally. Driven by the love, infinite love of our hearts, because love has to be the background overriding force. Expand it. It's easier and quicker than you think. Don't try to let go. Be the witness. As if you're not there. It's hard to explain. So crisscrossing darting lines throughout this universe. Don't worry, it's going to go quick in a moment. Look at at least two of the hide on your I am on either side or over on the background. Quickly glance at them and say, please assist if you need to. Otherwise, be in that deep hypnotic trance, for lack of a better term. And sort of at about the same time of the outer perimeter of where all this pinballing laser golden light is going throughout this universe. You don't have to see it going through every single central sun of every single galaxy. You don't have to do that. You can if you want. Just see the pinballing laser golden light expanding out, in every direction throughout the central area of this universe. Bulldozing, holding the intent of bulldozing, completely clearing all false or dark simulations, no matter how many layers, because there's thousands, even millions of these simulations within many timelines. Think big, or better still, don't think at all. And at the outer perimeter of this expanding, pinballing laser light, still in a central area of this universe, you see a soft, divine source feminine magenta glow, sort of expanding, closely following this structural golden pinballing laser. Good sign, I suppose. And that is also, in a more gentle way, dissolving all false simulations at the base program level. Because the entire omniverse and seemingly all that is was running on a false synthetic program run by some base root platform, which seemed to have been right here under our feet. Congratulations, 144K. Feel the roars and the cheers of, well, where do I begin? I'll just use the term Galactic Confederation, among others. Expand it out. It's moving quicker. So at the same time, so two things at once. The pinballing, laser beam, golden laser beam that we originally pulled in from source and through Gaia and then through into this universe from up above. That's pinballing around throughout, I guess, every galaxy, but there's all sorts of portals and vortexes and God knows what throughout this universe, throughout subspace and subquantum level space, in between spaces, the so-called nil zone or null zone. Those in between those ones and zeros of the matrix. All that is, all densities, all planes. So at the same time as that is expanding, that pinballing of that laser golden light at about the same pace, slightly within it, is this expanding sphere of the true source, the infinite organic love that is source, that is the essence of source. See it as magenta. Within where that golden pillar that we pulled in pinballed around, expanding outward throughout this universe. And now and the rest is going to go quicker. I'll explain why later. Reaching, bulldozing all false simulations and whatever was holding them up and constructing them in the first place. Hold that intent. Bulldozing, clearing. Reaching the outer perimeter of this universe. That's represented as that really holographic indigo, perhaps toroidal sphere, because that's what it is. Now zoom out. Put source and Gaia further up above, and you don't have to see them all the time. Zoom out and see. We're going multiversal and then omniversal. And this is much quicker because, well, I'll explain why later. Okay, I'll explain now. See the golden pinballing of that laser beam of light? Just expand out past this universe and zooming into the central suns of all the neighboring universes. And see that magenta color that is not just representing, that is source and infinite love of the divine feminine, by the way. Remember, this is a nexus universe, so it affects all multiverses and the infinite universes, the omniverse. So bear with me. See, zoom out into the neighboring, start off with 2, 3, whatever. I'll do my best to verbalize because they're saying easy to verbalize. Faint images do just as well, don't worry. See, go beam of that original golden light that we brought from source with its intent / program and purpose. Zoom out right into neighboring holographic indigo toroidal spheres of the neighboring universes into their respective cosmic central suns, and immediately there's a chain reaction into either of them. Where we see the same thing, that pinballing of that golden beam of light, like a laser just shooting in every direction. Again, probably going through the central suns of all the galaxies within each universe, and then spreading from there. And then that magenta, infinite organic source and infinite love expanding out of those respective cosmic central suns of those neighboring universes. I'm just focusing on 2 on either side for now. That'll do. Just to get the ball rolling, then the rest is much quicker and easier. And see source, that magenta ever-expanding sphere from this universe, that you don't have to see it clearly, expanding, and see the same thing in those 2 neighboring universes on either side. Same thing, expanding that magenta sphere, following the pinballing laser golden beam, expanding within those 2 neighboring universes. Okay, now speed it up. Because as you're witnessing and watching this, just know that, okay, technicality, the further out you project your consciousness throughout anywhere there, all that is, especially into other universes, the more power you gain, the more godlike power you have. So it can be done much quicker. And I am talking from experience, verified by a third party. That's another long story. So you don't have to just take my word for it. We've got 5 minutes left. Now zoom out. Take that brief glance at the HOD, I am, Gaia, Source. They're now way up above. Neptune and Pluto with their beams of light going into this universe. And now it's fast, spreading it throughout the rest of the multiverses and the infinite universes. It's going to be fast. Again, I'm talking from experience. I've done this before. Now look at the universe. The golden beam of light still going through it. And this is a nexus universe, also the focal point. That golden light going out into 2 other universes on the left and right. That'll do. They're now consumed or all the however many infinite number of false simulations, layered false simulations throughout all that is in those universes, they're cleared, bulldozed away by that expanding magenta that is source. And what we're going to do is we're going to zoom out, and you're just going to keep on zooming out and keep on zooming out quickly, casually, unattached, as if you don't care. And see the two magenta spheres that originated from this universe and then the other two neighboring universes can't come together. That's us returning source back to the subquantum vacuum and subspace and void between universes, and dissolving all false simulations. Okay, I think I saw each of these three universes light up into gold. It's okay if you didn't, but let me know if you did. And now zoom out, and we're just going to spread it. See the golden light spread from these three universes into other universes. Faint images, faint, quick images will do. Don't worry. Command it with your I am. Hold the intent. Bulldozing all false simulations, false matrices. Restoring the divine, true divine, organic source consciousness and source consciousness constructs throughout all that is, and in the universe and omniverse and the voids and in between spaces. And now spread it out throughout the universe. And what you're going to see now is keep on zooming out and see ever expanding. It's as if you can't see the universes almost. Ever expanding magenta sphere emanating from this neighboring area of this multiverse with pinballing golden source beam of light and respective consciousness program of the true organic source and our intent. Pinballing golden light source. See all the universes kind of light up. Pinballing. Golden beam of light, pinballing all over the place. Zoom out and just keep on zooming out. Expanding that magenta, infinite love of the true organic, authentic source. Expanding magenta sphere while seeing the pinballing laser beam of light at the same time. Bulldozing all false simulations and whatever constructed them, whatever dark consciousness and technologies constructed them. By whoever, whatever, we don't care. We've had enough. And by the way, this can't be done anywhere else by anyone else, anywhere else. It had to be done here on the physical surface by physical incarnated beings and projecting their consciousness outward the way we are. It can't be done any other way. I know that might be a bit much for some of you. Is what it is. Don't shoot the messenger. Expand outwards. And just see this magenta and crisscrossing grid of gold and beam of light, laser light, just expanding into the dark void that has all the universes. And you can see the universes either as indigo toroidal spheres or even white spheres and see this magenta and gold beam of light within it just expand outwards, moving through each universe, and repeating the same process in all those universes throughout the multiverse, because we can, because we're meant to, because this is why this universe is the nexus universe of the multiverse and omniverse. Well, multiverses and omniverse. So this is the culminating finishing point. Expand it out. Don't have to see it perfectly. And as it expands out, the magenta and golden lines, see each universe of whatever color you choose to represent each universe turn into magenta and gold almost pretty much instantaneously, bulldozing all false simulations throughout all that is within that universe. Expand it out. Believe me, something very similar has been done like this before and was confirmed to have worked. Now zoom out. Source, Gaia, and Neptune and Pluto, they're still up there, but at a more of a distance, beam of light. And now we're just focusing primarily on the multiverse. See the multiverse as just one giant cluster of universes. Again, see the whole multiverse as like a haze, a concentrated haze of white little balls of light. And see the magenta with a golden edge perhaps expand out throughout the multiverse. Okay, so I hope you understand what I'm saying here. The multiverse, see it as a somewhat hazy cloud of white, a hazy white cloud, or whatever works for you. And see the magenta and gold expand throughout it, covering this white hazy cloud that is a multiverse. Again, faint abstract visualization will do. It always seems to be just as effective. Expand, and the whole multiverse is magenta, and you can make out gold. And now expand the magenta into neighboring hazy but still concentrated and bright clouds of spheres, which are the neighboring multiverses, and see the magenta, touch it and transform it. Maybe just turn each multiverse or concentrated spherical haze of white light, just turn golden as the expanding magenta sphere that is source moves through the neighboring multiverses. I am doing my best to properly verbalize because I'm working here. And now we're going to step it up because we can. Again, the further out you project your consciousness, the more godlike powers just increases exponentially. Not my first rodeo. And you veteran 144K members know what I'm talking about. Expand that out quick. See, touch golden concentrated hazy spheres. I mean, white concentrated haze of spheres that are the multiverses expanded out. The magenta sphere expanded out, moving through these hazy balls of white light, that is each multiverse, and turning golden as the magenta passes through. Because we're dealing with a lot of false light and deceptions and illusions here. Keep that in mind. And just keep on zooming out, same thing. And zooming out. It's as if you're moving outward continuously, and this magenta and golden expanding sphere keeps on expanding the more you expand your consciousness by zooming out and zooming out and zooming out. And inside this ever expanding magenta sphere, which is literally source, you see each multiverse, all these dotted, spherical, hazy spheres, but just hazy because it's full of universes, they're now golden. Golden source light language constructs based on true, authentic, divine sacred geometry from way outside any false or dark simulation. Expand it out and just keep on going out. This magenta is now full of golden, return to source, cleared multiverses. Keep on expanding. So you're noticing, little bright white, hazy, spherical multiverses being turned into gold, hazy spheres within the ever-expanding magenta sphere moves outward. And outwards we go. For another minute, keep on going. Throughout all multiverses, because all these small, hazy, bright white spheres, each of those are multiverses. In their own right, we're moving through source. Outwards we go. Look up at your I am. Remember, you can just be there in an instant because your consciousness already is everywhere. You already are everywhere when you're working this way with your consciousness. Look up at your I am, and underneath, far underneath, you can just keep on seeing ever expanding magenta sphere with maybe a golden boundary and all these, well, they look like golden dots, infinite number of multiverses, expanding, 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 not stopping. Okay, That's what's going on underneath. Look up at the HOD on either side of this, or just look up at the HOD, two of them. Your I am, soul over soul. And repeat after me. Authentic I am, authentic HOD, and true organic source from way outside all false or dark simulations and all that is. Complete this process of clearing all false simulations, deceptions, illusions, no matter how many infinite layers of these false simulations there are, down to the base root program. Throughout the multiverses, omniverse, throughout all that is, complete this process now. And see everything beneath us, because we're up above all that is, above the whole omniverse and infinite universes. See it all glittering magenta of infinite love of the organic true source, full of golden, returned to source and cleared multiverses. They just look like a galaxy of golden dots going infinitely beneath us. Okay. And the piece de resistance. Look up at your I am. Actually, repeat after me, but look at the same time as best you can. We're done. Don't worry. Authentic source. Authentic HOD. I am. Over soul and soul. Now collapse within each universe, throughout the omniverse, including universes in the null zone, in between spaces, collapse this complete removal of all simulations and deceptions inward within each universe of the omniverse, into every physical and non-physical atom, that then leads into the infinite trails of universes within that. Within each universe, throughout the omniverse, and the null zone, also known as the null space and nil zone. Unspace, down to some quantum and subspace levels, hidden in time currents, clear all these simulations. Now, look up above this massive cloud of magenta that is source, that's come back throughout all the omniverse and all the aforementioned, full of golden multiverses. Above all that is the universe, this universe, that is the Nexus universe that spreads to all that is. That's why we're using this universe. That's why this universe was created, by the way. And see, how do I explain this? All right, see this universe as a holographic golden ring or sphere. And now see it just fairly quickly contract inwards, kind of collapse inwards, going into every single atom, particle, null space, null zone, subspace, subquantum realms, whatever, all that is. And this whole thing that we've done collapse into all of that, into those infinite universes with through each atom, quantum and physical and non-physical matter, and going into all of those universes, infinite universes, and repeating the whole same process instantaneously, bulldozing, clearing, finding all deceptions and false simulations, false consciousness constructs, false simulations of where there's many layers of false simulations within a single universe, even planet. Millions of layers of false simulations within false simulations. That's what we've been dealing with. So see a golden holographic ring or sphere within this universe. It's all magenta inside. Just go inward, collapse inwards, holding that intent of going through the infinite number of universes, physical and not, throughout all physical and non-physical atoms that lead to other universes that then repeat that inwards, just like a bouncing thing, like expands a golden ring or golden holographic sphere, starting from the outer edges of this universe. I know it's all magenta, but the gold you can make out, just zooming in, shrinking in into the core of this universe, the cosmic central sun, sinking into all those infinite universes of all physical and non-physical atoms, and throughout null space, unspace, nil zone, in between the ones and zeros, all densities planes. You can do it twice if you want. See that golden sphere within this universe just going in. All those things that I've just verbalized, and then expanding outwards, bulldozing, just choo. And you may see a chain reaction of golden beams going through what look like spheres, but are really atoms, then into universes, then into atoms, and then into universes, expanding that golden ring contraction within each universe that it goes into. Again, almost impossible to properly guide someone on this sort of thing, because verbal words is not our natural way of communicating, but feel the consciousness of my intent. Your intent shows. And then let that sink in and expand throughout the multiverse. And I'll let you visualize that in whatever way works for you. You can see the same thing in the neighboring universes, and just like this chain reaction of like this golden shock wave throughout this magenta, representing the one true, organic, authentic, infinite love, goddess, source. We are done. I mean, I know some of you are quite happy to really have fun with this. We are done. Look up here. I am the HOD, source. and literally say, see this to completion. Wow. One of the most profound 144K interventions we've had in some time. Well, now you can understand why it was impossible. 322. 3 and 9. It's 0309. Local time. No, 0309 in terms of the length of time of this since we dialed in on free conference call. That's what I see on my phone. All right, look at this universe, Gaia. Move whatever color light you want, holding a wave of it, holding the intent of removing all energetic traces through this universe. You were never here, you were not seen. I'll call back my tracks. Say that. And return back into this room if you haven't already. Folks, we are done. I hope you're understanding of why this critical intervention was impossible to keep short. This was a campaign. I guess we don't do quote unquote meditations. We do campaigns, which is a true essence and nature of the authentic 144K. Is what it is. Oh, 11:11, even better. Down to the second. Go for a walk. Congratulations. And that's from direct from source, never mind the Galactic Confederation, Agarthans, Ashtar Command, Jupiter Command, Intergalactic Confederation. We can go on, right? They're all massively saying congratulations because certain things were always meant, designed, and planned to do via or through the mechanism of consciousness projection from the physical of the surface of this planet to pretty much everywhere else, not just the non-physical. All densities, all planes, through the infinite universes and the voids, spaces in between, 0 point. And now this is going to set off, if it hasn't already, like the light forces can sort of take over from here, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and they can complete the final removal and dissolution and cascading dissolving of all deceptions, illusions, and simulations over the coming 2 weeks, if not overnight. And if it doesn't happen overnight, it's because too much light will come up at once, bringing up all, stinging every single damn entity you can think of. And we don't want those guys jumping up like a cat on a hot tin roof and biting us. So it may happen in a controlled demolition, cascading kind of way over the next 2 weeks till the new moon, where we plant the seeds and finally restore free will And boy, have we cleared the last primary blocks to that massive breakthrough throughout the August 1221 portal activation. This is just nuts in all the most divine ways. Send me your feedback, preferably in the Telegram chat. Try to keep it short and succinct and to the point, especially if anything coincided with what you saw or felt at roughly the same time that I verbalized it, the usual thing. Do let me know. Feel the salutes. Feel the pride that you did your part. Even if you did fall asleep halfway through. You got no idea how much you ought to be proud of. You have no idea. This is your loving servant and goddess worshipper, the Unknown Light Warrior, closing the physical broadcast as I give you my love and congratulations and salute. I would love to hear from you.